Welcome to What's on Tap, a video podcast created to keep the hospitality industry connected, engaged, and informed on issues directly affecting our world. We strive to curate authentic conversations with and for the people who make bars and restaurants tick. What's on Tap is powered by Tapped In, a restaurant solutions company that makes operators' lives easier and their businesses more successful. Tapped In can help with anything from websites to QR-driven menus to getting you set up with online ordering and much more. To get tapped today, head over to gettappedin.io. Everyone is well aware of how hard the restaurant industry has been hit from government-mandated COVID restrictions. Bars have even more restrictions, and the nightclub segment has been impacted the most. Even if they have great food, clubs aren't thought of as dining meccas, so offering carryout and delivery isn't the crutch that it can be to restaurants. And limitations on capacity and social distancing requirements make it extremely difficult for these establishments to do what they do best: create experiences where people can get lost in the music and dance the night away in a sea of like-minded revelers. This is the first episode in our Nightlife Under COVID series, where we'll sit down with club owners, DJs, and promoters to better understand what they've been experiencing. Our guests today are Francoise Crokaert and Miguel Castro from one of Chicago's newest nightclubs, La Nocturne.
Miguel, Francois, thank you for joining us here today on What's on Tap. And this is our first show about the nightclub industry. And we're sitting here at your nightclub called La Nocturne. So thank you for having us.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us as well. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's been talking about this for quite a while, so we're happy to be here. I think, as everyone probably knows, the hospitality industry as a whole has been hammered due to COVID, probably the hardest hit industry.
And that would be putting it mildly.
But then we get the whole spectrum of the hospitality industry. You have restaurants, you have bars, and then you have nightclubs. And a lot of people have forgotten, maybe don't know the plight of the nightclub specifically, because you have a different set of circumstances and challenges that make it a lot more harder to operate than somebody on the other side, on the restaurant side. Nobody wants to go to the nightclub that has 25% capacity. Usually you walk in there and you said, the place is dead, let's go. You want to go there, you want to meet people, it's loud, you want to get close, 6 feet distancing is very challenging.
Correct.
So we wanted to get your perspective. So before we get too far into it, we just want to know a little bit more about you two and about La Nocturne. So Francois, do you want to introduce yourself and kind of the genesis of La Nocturne? And
yeah. So I'm French. I came in the US last year to open this place because I'm a big fan of house music. And house music is born and raised in Chicago. So I found that I didn't find any place the way I want to enjoy in Chicago house music. So I say, why don't take the bet and come in the US and especially in Chicago to try to build my own nightclub about house music.
Come here and say, I'm going to go to Chicago and open a nightclub? Or you came here and then noticed that maybe like the industry is missing some niche?
No, I came here in visit like a tourist. And I was figured out that there was something missing in my opinion. So I take the decision to sold everything in France and to come in Chicago to create my own nightclub.
Yeah, and so this place opened when?
So the grand opening was 1 year ago, August 17th.
Oh, wow, almost to the date. We're getting real close. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Happy early anniversary.
Could be better,
Yeah, I wish it was under better circumstances. We could be throwing a huge party for this, but it is what it is.
It is what we're at.
And were you in the hospitality industry before in France? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how have you found the Chicago industry different than in France?
That's very different on a lot of points, but then at the end of the day, it's the same. It's exactly the same kind of spirit. People want to hang out, want to have loud music, want to meet people, want to be with friends, want to enjoy, want to party. So at the end of the day, it's the same thing. There is some difference here and there. And Miguel, who is from Chicago, teach me all that stuff. and thankfully, I was working with him, and we met a lot of great people who put me on the line of what happened in Chicago and what is different from France. In France, it's really different because when you open a nightclub, it takes 1 week to be packed. Here, it's a little bit different. We have a lot of nightclub in France, but that's a little bit different. People go to the door and party maybe a little bit more in terms of numbers. Okay. Here we have to build, and that's the main difference.
Sure.
Yeah. And what was missing, in my opinion, is literally there is most of the nightclub in Chicago have one house night, and the rest is hip hop night or different kind of music. And I think there is not a temple for house music in Chicago, and for me that was kind of weird. So I say, okay, let's correct that.
Sure.
With my humble experience. So I wanted to have a huge sound system, a huge light system, and put all that together with that kind of good vibe that what is house music.
And so huge sound system, huge light system, but in a relatively small boutique size nightclub.
Yeah.
We're not talking like the sound bars. This is a pretty intimate space.
Yeah.
And in a neighborhood that probably doesn't have any other nightclubs.
No.
Where everything else is kind of very concentrated in that River North area.
Yes.
So how did you pick Uptown?
Oh, that was a long study. You don't come in another country like that, so you have to study a lot and to understand how it works. So I was working in different city before Chicago, and all that work I did before learned me how to figure out the best neighborhood, the best district, and before I pick up this location, I think I visit maybe 4 or 5, maybe even 6 spots, and I understand that neighborhood was changing a lot.
Yeah.
And I noticed as well that River North, there is just nightclub, one next to each other. And it's difficult to have a place when you are all in competition. And you don't have really identity when you are all together in the same location. I pick up Uptown because that's a location around with a lot of history about entertainment. We are just next door to the Uptown Theater, to the Aragon Ballroom, to the Riviera. So for me, that was a little bit kind of natural to choose that location. Also, I don't give my secret why did that will be a hotspot here. But I was looking at where people in Chicago were moving, where was the hotspot, where condo were building, where what the permit, also where condo were building new spots. So that was my plan. And when I found this spot, the first time I visited that spot, that was exactly what I was looking for, kind of boutique. The way it's built is perfect for sound system. The sound system, I was already the owner before in France, so I bring it with me. So that was literally the best setup possible.
And so you're right, like Uptown isn't a nightclub central, but it does have a lot of great live music venues, and it is up and coming. It is a beautiful neighborhood. Yeah. So
and the Green Mill was before kind of nightclub,
Yeah.
So we are just next door, and this building was the Green Mill before.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't know that. Okay. Very cool.
It's much bigger than it was now. Than it is now, I should say.
You know how long ago that kind of trimmed down?
That was that was like that was way back though. That was like at the turn of maybe I think what happened was after the crash. They couldn't sustain a place that size. So yeah, we're probably looking at end of the 20s, early 30s, a downsized. Yeah.
And so you found Miguel.
Yeah.
And you've been with them since before you opened.
Yeah, just before. We actually, it's an interesting story because when you hear it, it's one of those things that, you start believing in things that are meant to happen a certain way. It's undeniable. He had randomly come to a night on a Monday night that I was promoting and DJing at, and us being, both from DJ backgrounds. That's how I started in the business. And he did event planning and he DJed as well in his country. He came up to the DJ booth. We struck up a conversation through a mutual friend. And I heard the typical story I hear from a lot of people. Oh yeah, I'm here to open up a nightclub. So, I never, just walk away. I want to hear what people have to say. And
But you take it with a grain of salt.
yeah, exactly. A very, yeah, maybe garlic powdered. But he was asking a lot of the right questions, and I knew that he was serious about what he was doing. At the time, or for the last actually 8 or 10 years now, I've been doing a lot of consulting work for new nightclubs or nightclubs that are struggling and need to go in a different direction with marketing, branding, that kind of sort of thing. So I basically gave him my card and said, whenever you're ready, just give me a call, and we can talk.
And for me, the story was exactly the same because
That's
I met
good.
a lot of people, I was visiting different spots and I was trying to make my own opinion about how it works in the city before buying a business. And that's literally the only guy who asked me the question or give me the answer that I was looking for. And he asked me the right question. So that's exactly the same. We're connected about that. And I think that when we met, I say to myself, that's the guy maybe who can be on my side too.
But at that point, was it maybe just as a consultant? Is that what you were thinking?
Initially, that's how I came in a year, out of the blue. Fast forward a year, out of the blue, I get a phone call from Francoise, and basically is like, hey, can you come to this address? I was out of town at the moment, so I said, yeah, sure, in about a week or so. And I'm like, okay. Came here, looked at the space, walked in. I thought it was amazing. Right off the bat, I saw the sound, the lighting. I love the location. I've been in the nightclub business for about 30 years. And like I said, I started out as a DJ. I've done promotions for the most part in marketing and consulting. I owned a nightclub, actually the first nightclub in River North on Hubbard, a place called Minx. So I've spent the last 20 years of my career in River North, and I was already... One of the great things about being in this business is, or any business for as long as I have, you see the trends. It's cyclical. Yeah. So you see what's coming and you're able to adjust before it happens. I was literally already planning my exit from River North to do something different, something new. And I was actually looking for something way out of the beaten path because I wanted to go back to the days in the 90s. In the 90s, nobody went downtown. Downtown was dangerous. It wasn't where you wanted to be after 8 o'clock. There were destination spots all over the city, and you maybe went to 2 different places, tops, a place to start out and a place to finish. Not like today, you hop around to 10 different spots, all crushed into one block. So when I came here, I'm like, uptown, okay, it's right between the theaters. I already knew that this was the most underdeveloped area in all of Chicago. It's the last area, and it was. I was already looking to buy property in the area as well. It's a few blocks away from the lake. You have all these, great. You have the Lakeshore Drive right there, and it was amazing to me that nobody was building condos or putting up or investing any money in this neighborhood. But a year later, literally from the year that I talked to him to a year later, all these things start popping up around here. So I think it was just, perfect timing, how we met and eventually how we started proceeding. House music has literally pretty much been everything I've loved, and all my promotions have surrounded house music and been about house music. And I've known what he saw right away is that there really wasn't, it was a token night. House music was relegated now. I mean, house music was born here, yet it was very marginalized. Yeah. It was, maybe a hole-in-the-wall bar is where you went, where they knew they played house music all the time. But for the most part, the bigger clubs would just pick a Sunday or a Thursday because it was labeled as non-profitable. Yeah. You just couldn't make it. But I think what it is they were trying to use the same business model for hip hop and mainstream music for house, and you just can't do that. They were ignoring a niche that is something that I was going after, that I've been going after, which is the 28 to 40-year-olds that don't want to be in a barely 21 nightclub, don't want to deal with the crowds and everything like that, but still want to be somewhere upscale. And there just really wasn't anything like that. Yeah. So when I came here, I saw this is perfect. This is perfect. I explained to him what, his love for music, for house music, was the same as mine, and I gave him what I thought would be a good strategy for this place, and I bought into it, and it's been supporting it since day one. And I think we're accomplishing something that basically everybody told us could never happen, especially in Uptown.
Well, that's a great question. That's what people were telling you. Did you have a thought in the back of your head like, I love it, but it is risky because it goes outside of the traditional model?
I just think to me, it was a no-brainer. Nobody is catering to this crowd. I guess one of the biggest things that led me that way was the fact that as a promoter, one of the things I would always get is people calling me every week. Is there somewhere I can go listen to house music where I don't have to pay $50 a ticket, number one, or go into some seedy underground place, or somewhere where I have to worry about fights breaking out or something like that. There just wasn't nothing at all. Again, everything was modeled after the 21 to 25-year-olds, but there was nothing for people my age who love house music, but don't see anywhere they'd like to spend. And and these are loyal people. Once they find a spot, because they hardened back to the days where you didn't jump around. You found a spot you liked, and that's where you went. So I literally, and he'll tell you that I had no doubt that this would work. There's definitely an uphill battle you have to fight, being so out of the way and changing the paradigm of what people think. They think if it's not downtown, it's not good. So
you really have to do it amazing to be able to shake that stigma. It's kind of like doing like a winery in the Midwest or something. Like people automatically think it's going to be bad. Like you got to kill it.
Yeah, you do. And again, 30 years in this business has afforded me a lot of trust from people and a lot of following and a lot of friends who would love to support and are willing to help in any way to keep house music alive.
And also that was for me to bring, and that was my starting point, is to bring one of the best, if it's not the best sound system in town. Yeah. In that kind of room.
And you brought it from France, right? You shipped it over. France, and tell us what makes it special and unique. And I believe you have some sort of like sound force field too that was very interesting to hear about.
Yeah. Can you explain that?
Yeah. But what I want to make a point is that what also made this place perfect is that there are no small clubs in the city with this kind of a sound system. So that's why they wouldn't work. They weren't working for house music. House music is very much like a lot of music, but especially house music, it's all about the sound system. So when I saw it and heard it, I was blown away. I'm like, here's a system that is built for a place 10 times the size of this. It's clean. It's what you get at a sound bar at the Mid. I've heard every sound system in the city, and I can hands down say this is probably the cleanest, best system I've ever heard, especially for a club this small, which is where the trend is going, smaller clubs, for two reasons. The big clubs are unsustainable. They were already unsustainable before this happened. So those days are pretty much over for a while. And also the DJs wanted to be able to interact with people, not be so far away. Not put up on a riser that's 25 feet high and your crowd's at the bottom. And then because you have 5,000 people there, you're not going to play what you'd want to play because you have to cater to the masses. So here you have that connection between the DJ and the crowd. And it's right there in front of you. It's a different feeling as a DJ to be able to, it's great as a DJ to see a sea of 3,000 people, but it's the same reason some of the biggest bands in the world will play at a small venue. They like that intimacy. So what he built here is really something to see from the lighting to the sound. What do we have speaker-wise? We have a total of 34,000. Yeah, we got about 35,000 watts, something like we have the 18 subs all around the place. It's such a well-balanced sound system. There's not one grain of delay from the front to the back. There are no rattles. If there is, we grab a screwdriver and a screw and we make sure that never rattles again. So
and it sounds like you just hearing that, you're like, well, it's going to blow you away when you walk in. But
it's insane.
Not. It's like this balance though. Is
it's balanced to the point. The key to a good sound system is feeling it not so much hearing it. So literally when we're topping off with 300 people in here and the music is cranked up, you can hold a conversation in the middle of the dance floor, just surrounded by these speakers.
Yeah.
Because it's just very clean. The harmonics, the frequency at which everything puts out the sound is just balanced, and that's all. It's all due to him and his meticulous nature when it came to that, which is another reason we both work. We're very detail oriented. We're OCD to a certain extent when it comes. So that is very important.
Yeah.
So, if he's not on it, I'm on it. And going back to what you brought up, the sound wall, that's something else that I've never seen before. That he put up. It's basically a row of 2 or 3 speakers in the middle of the room that separates the lounge part from the dance part.
Yeah.
And it's to put it simply, it's out of phase with what's coming from the DJ, so that once you pass that sound wall, it automatically drops the volume. It's pretty cool.
like
you
a
walk
force
through
field.
it. Yeah, you take one step this way, you don't feel it so much, you don't hear it so much. You take another step this way, and you're immersed in the sound. So I found it very cool. I found it very incredible to find someone I was like, great, someone who thinks like I think, someone who wants house music, to be back, where it belongs, which is, this is the home of house music. And yet the best DJs in the world have to fly out because they don't get the love here that they get in Milwaukee. They don't get the respect. So that's another route that we decided to take here is, as much as we'd love to, every so often we'd like to bring a $20,000, $30,000 DJ, I think it makes more sense to take that money and bring up local talent. And that's really the only way you keep and grow house music is giving these young up and coming DJs and some of the veterans, a rightful place to shine and grow.
You do have a lot of veterans though too. There are some pretty big names that you have.
We definitely have a lot of support. And I had, a lot of love. It's been really incredible. And we're constantly being thanked for doing this by people like Ron Carroll, who is a house music legend. Our resident DJ on Saturdays, Paul Johnson, who's a longtime friend of mine. He jumped at the chance to come back to Uptown because this is actually where he grew up.
Okay.
So, we've had, we'll talk about that a little bit later, the streams that we've been doing on Nocturne Chicago Live. It's a who's who of house legends.
Enjoying this episode? Don't forget to subscribe to be alerted to future episodes. What's on Tap is brought to you by Tapped In, a restaurant solutions company dedicated to making restaurateurs' lives easier and their businesses more successful. If your bar or restaurant could use help with anything from social media to Wi-Fi marketing to digital signage or anything else, head over to gettappedin.io to find out more.
And so how was business pre-COVID? You guys were open for what, 6-7 months?
We were literally, it was just, we were set to take off. I'll put it to you this way. In March, I was already booking well into August and September. And we're talking about major names that we don't want to throw out that right now, but because a lot of things have changed. But we had events and names and DJs and we were only going up. I've learned, like any other business, you can't get comfortable. You always have to think of new ways to entertain people or perfect what you already have. We've been, behind the scenes. We've been doing a lot of things. Everything from the outdoor patio that we have here, fixing that up. And since COVID, we've done nothing. I think we took 3 days off after the mandatory closure, and we've been here every day, maybe with the exception of 1 or 2 Sundays a month.
Yeah. Was it tapering off right before the mandatory closure?
No, we were literally had one of our largest parties coming up. The Chosen Few were going to perform here in March. Yeah. And that was put on hold. And we had sold out to that event 2 months prior to it.
Yeah, 2 months.
And we have a capacity of close to 300 people here. So that's what we were averaging coming up to COVID, 300 people Fridays and Saturdays, mostly doing house. Like, again, we don't want to say that we want to be primarily house music here, but obviously this is Chicago. Hip hop is huge here as well. So we want to be able to offer, at least some other things, but it's kind of been, we've kind of flipped, the tables on that, as where how hip hop was the main thing and house was off to the side. House is our main thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so governor's announcement, I think on the 17th of March or something, what went through your mind? And, you said 2 weeks at the time. Here we are, almost 5 months to the day.
Well, we both didn't believe it would be 2 weeks. I think they just said that not to shock people and cause
Spoon
a
feed
panic.
us.
Yeah. Kind of, but something this large, and the coordinated effort by the government. Literally, the night we found out, we had an event here, and as from 7:00 to the time the event ended at 10, which was a private event, the world had changed.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a college crowd, and mostly from Northwestern and some from Loyola. And literally through the middle of the night, they were all getting text messages that they would have to be leaving their dorms by next week. So we saw people's minds changing, and we started getting the text alerts as well from people. Hey, did you hear what's happening?
You're in the middle of a shift, so you're probably
in the middle of a shift, wasn't really looking, and then I saw some concerned faces in the crowd, and then the promoter of the night came up to me and mentioned what was going on, and it was surreal, to say the least, to see how something can go from one thing in just a matter of hours.
So how does a business like yours survive for 5 months? I mean, were you able to get PPP loans, or were you able to use those because of the complications of having to bring people back, but you can't fill the nightclub?
One of the smartest things he did was, the first thing he did when he heard that was just wait for any alerts or anything online as to what programs were being offered. Yeah. Because that came fairly quickly, but there were no announcements made on the media about it. You only found out about it if you searched like he did. So literally almost, what was it, the next day or two?
Oh, yeah.
Within the next day or two, all these programs were put out there. So again, we knew this would be a coordinated kind of a thing. So he kind of started looking for, there had to be something to help out small businesses. We knew it wouldn't be 2 weeks. You just don't end a pandemic in 2 weeks.
Right. Looking back, it's so naive. Anyone who believed it, but
at the beginning, the plan we had was to keep the place in hold until the mid of June or the beginning of July. That was the first thoughts that we get about the situation, and we start, by the way, to figure out, to say, okay, what we have time. What we have now is time. So, we will use this time. No, we can stay at home. We can cry in the middle of our bedroom, or we can continue working to improve the place.
Sure.
So that's what we did. We start to work and to improve every little details that we had in mind, to say, okay, that's something that we have to work on.
Yeah, because over the course of being open, of course, we saw where there was a need to do this and that, but we were so busy that we never had a chance to hit them.
You probably wouldn't have, because you never get those breaks.
You never get those breaks to do that.
Yeah, and there is, I mean, after every night when we open, we figured out what we have to improve. But there is big work that we have to do, and we start, by the way. Okay, we have time. Let's go. We improve the DJ booth. We improve again the sound system. We work on the video, because we were starting to introduce the live stream. But I think that will maybe one of your next question.
Yeah, well, that's a great segue. So we also want to know, what have bars, restaurants, clubs done to adapt to the new normal? And one of the things that you guys did that's very impressive is the live stream feeds that you've been able to do. Yeah. Getting ton of followers on YouTube, and I don't know where else maybe it's even available.
Again, that's one of those things that kind of just, it doesn't, I mean, it makes you a believer in the way things are mapped out for you sometimes, or manifest destiny, whatever you believe in. I had talked to him regarding last summer about possibly, doing some streams when we're open, kind of a boiler room thing, but a little bit more with maybe more engagement with the crowd, interviews with the DJs, and he loved the idea. So little by little, we started building the infrastructure for that. I don't think either of us thought, we both knew we wanted to do it, but again, being so wrapped up in a day-to-day operation, we never really, we just kind of kept throwing crumbs at it. Let's get this camera, spend money here and there. again, as soon as COVID happened, that's one of the things that almost immediately within a week, probably even less, we said, okay, now's the time to run with this.
Go time.
Because we had almost ready.
Yeah, we were almost ready. He already had a lot of the gear that we needed. Just like the nightclub, and we needed to, as we started doing streams, we found out what we needed. I mean, because it's not something we're into, I mean, he's done a lot of it in the past, but it's something
it's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a TV studio, basically. You're creating a show, and it's a brand as well. So that's when Nocturne Chicago Live was created. I mean, basically from day one, we've been broadcasting with the great help of, again, a lot of DJs, specifically Ron Carroll.
Yeah, Ron Carroll.
He bought into it 100%. He was helping us coordinate, bringing in some other DJs, because there's so much talent in the city. But again, we never thought we'd be here 6 months later still doing this. But again, it's a beautiful thing. It almost brings me to tears to think that in the last 30 years that I've been in this business, I've never heard so much great music from so much great talent in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the who's who legends, and even these young and up and coming DJs that we put on. I'm like, okay, we definitely have to call this kid back, or this DJ back once we open. And it's again, and like you said too, now that's another story, is the whole the following we've increased. Prior to COVID, we had maybe, a humble number of followers on social media, around 3,000 or so. Right now, we find ourselves closer to 15,000 now. And again, that's due to the talent we've been able to acquire here. Every so often, we get a comment on, when we're doing our streams, how do you guys continue to get such great talent in here?
It's a testament, really. Because
it's a testament. Again, it helps that I've been in this business for a long time. It also helps that a lot of these DJs were already wanting to play here. The bigger names wanted to play here because they had heard about the sound system that he'd put in, the lighting, and the fact that they want to support a house music, like he played
ecosystem.
Temple, or Ron Carroll likes to say, the ministry that he holds here every so often. But it's been quite a ride. It's been a learning experience. But I think for the most part, we've been able to almost perfect it. At the end of the day, you have to depend on a lot of outside variables, like your connection, cable connection, storms, that kind of thing. But we've been able to set up backups, and if for some reason a stream is cut off by severe weather or whatever, we're always recording. We keep going, just like any other show would.
Yeah, we learned the hard way ourselves with the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, we started at the same time, basically. Like, all right, we got all this time. What should we do?
Yeah, and I think this is a great idea as well. I mean, it's great to be able to talk like this and share these kind of stories, and hopefully give hope out there, or some new ideas for someone else.
Sure.
Share. You got to share this kind of stuff. You have to. It's a big community. We're Chicago at the end of the day. We're a big family here, and that's the beautiful thing about our industry, is that we do help each other out.
And now you don't only have to reach people that are within driving distance. You have people probably around the globe that are tuning in and hearing
that's
about
been
Nocturne.
Great. There's a certain thing that comes with being known globally. It's a different respect. For us, it was a no-brainer, because again, it's sad to say, but there's more appreciation for house music around the world than there is here.
Yeah.
So anything from Chicago, or a Chicago name in it, is going to pique somebody's curiosity, at least to see what's going on.
Sure.
So, I like to think that all they have to do is just tune in for a few seconds and they're hooked.
And tell people how, if they want to listen, watch, where all can they find that? I know
Well, you can find us on Facebook at Le Nocturne Chicago, or Nocturne Chicago Live as well. We normally broadcast on at least 5 to 6 different platforms. The one we like to use the most is YouTube, because of certain problems that you come across with Facebook. But Facebook is kind of a necessary tool to drive viewers to
muting.
YouTube. Yeah, it's a necessary evil in some people's eyes. But we broadcast on Instagram, Mixcloud, Periscope. I don't know if I'm missing some.
No, I think you said
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, we were doing Twitch for a while. What a lot of people don't realize, Twitch has been doing great, and they've done a great job, putting house music out there. We for a while we were really successful with Twitch because gamers would basically, because it's a gaming platform basically. Gamers were playing while listening to us.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they reach their capacity with what they can handle in streams, and their gaming platforms, and they know this is not going to last forever. So they're not going to spend all this money investing in something they know when their meat and potatoes is gaming.
Yeah.
So we knew that YouTube from day one. I mean, it's on everybody's phone. You buy a phone, it's in there. The app's already in there. So YouTube was a logical choice to build on.
And Mixcloud as well.
Mixcloud is going to be moving forward. Mixcloud is doing some great things as well for streaming.
Yeah.
So you've got the live stream. If people want to catch those, what time and days are those available?
Well, we stream at least 4 days a week. We created a show. One of the great things that came out of this is we wanted to create something that was a little bit more interactive with the viewers,
and the DJ and the talent.
With the DJ and the talent that we had here. So we put together a show called House Talk that airs Monday through Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. hosted by Ron Carroll. It's a 1 hour mix, but in that mix, Ron stops to speak to the DJs, ask them questions about how they started,
Very cool.
What inspired them, where, they get to, plug their own music and their own production and let people know where you can find them. And that's what's been great. I mean, to be able to give these DJs that if you're a DJ, it's like anything you're passionate about. If you're an artist and they took away your canvas, you'd start, scratching in the wall.
Sure.
You grab, you'd do whatever you had to. And DJs were already streaming when we started from their homes. But it's one thing to stream from your bedroom, which is great. Another to get the feel of a nightclub, at least a little bit.
Sure.
With the equipment, the lights that we do, and the sound that we put on.
That's what makes the difference when we have very big name, Gene Ferris, Paul Johnson, Ron Carroll, when they came for the first time because they were playing at home, like Miguel said, and they have the shiny eyes. They were like kids playing with the new toys for the first time.
Exactly.
That's insane, and they give so much energy in the stream we get at this time. That was awesome, and that's exactly for that we are doing that, because during this time the only thing we get is just happiness for us and for the people we have into the building and for the watcher. So that's everything.
And what about the visuals? Because I get lost in that trance and you're kind of going through that tunnel, and who did those?
He did the graphics and stuff, and as well as the lighting system that we've been playing with a lot, trying to balance being able to see the DJ, but at the same time give people visuals to go along with the music.
It's an experience, visual and sound, and you still get the DJ feed. So it's really a lot of fun. So I encourage people, whether they're house heads or not, check it out, because it's a lot of fun.
And again, we like to say that we're all things house. Everything from new disco, old disco, techno, trance, progressive. We've covered all the bases. When we say we're a house music nightclub, that's what we are. Not just one type of house. House is now, broken up into several subgenres, and each one of them has its beautiful take on what they think house music is. But at the end of the day, it's 4 on the floor. It's hard, it's rhythmic. So I think that really appeals to a mass audience. And I think that's also what we're doing here, is reintroducing people maybe to house music and the different subsets that it holds.
And as successful as you guys have been with this, YouTube you can monetize, but it's probably not paying rent.
Definitely not. This is definitely a labor of love. But at the same time, again, we now have close to 15,000 followers. That is very, very marketing specific. You cannot duplicate that without spending $50,000, $60,000 to some marketing agency to do that for you. So as far as I'm concerned, we struck gold with it. Maybe it's not tangible, but yet, exactly. But you can't buy a list like that.
Yeah.
I mean, people that are tuning in and stay and follow you, it's because they can't wait for you to open. They want to see what you're doing. So you can't, it's amazing when I think about it.
And so you guys have a kitchen, but it was never a focus of yours to be doing food.
We're a nightclub first.
That's where we are coming from.
Yeah, that's where we're coming. But we do offer food, and also for me, it made sense to, have different avenues of incomes, different income streams, and one of those is private and corporate events. I figured, why outsource the food? We have a kitchen here.
And it's a beautiful space. I mean, a lot of nightclubs, when you see it with the lights on, you're like, gross. Yeah. This has always been a beautiful space.
No, thank you.
The upholstery is gorgeous. The decor is amazing. And, you're a designer, Francoise. And I fell in love with your logo, just looking at that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that got me too. It's just, I'm like, okay, that's perfect. It doesn't say anything, but it says all.
Everything. Yeah.
So
have you been opening up for dinner, for food, or just
unfortunately, and it makes me think that no one who makes these guidelines has ever owned a small business. This type of business, a restaurant or club, is hard enough to sustain at 80%. Asking someone to open up at 25% is, I have to say, it is laughable.
Yeah.
It's kind of adding insult to injury. It would cost more money to open the doors than it would to just stay closed.
Yeah.
So what we've done, we have opened up to the public, but very specific promoter-driven events.
You got to know you can fill.
Exactly. And that's where, unfortunately, again, we're allowed 50 people inside, 24 on our patio. That's 74 people. I don't know anywhere that can make money off 74 people.
Not when you're shooting for 300.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Especially when we can hold 300 here. And then, or it's hard to find a promoter who would even take a risk like that. But we're lucky enough to have come across some great people. I know a lot of people in the business that are willing to try certain things out. And one of those, like this past weekend, was an in-house promotion that we did. Kind of to bring back some normalcy for ourselves and our crowd, is our Paul Johnson residency, a monthly residency, and it went over really well. We were able to just break even, which is for us, for the first time, for 74 people to break even. That's quite a number. That's almost $50 a person spending. So that tells you they stayed, they wanted to stay, and they loved what they heard.
Yeah.
The average spend in the city when things were normal were 15 to 20 a person. So again, it's something you have to really think about, crunch the numbers, and for us, just being able to break even right now is well worth it.
Well, have you been able to maintain any of your staff? I mean, how do you staff up for like a once a week or twice a month type?
That's another uphill battle, because we can't, obviously we let our people go right away so that they could, do what they had to do, get on unemployment, or maybe find something else. And after 4, 5, 6 months, they have, a lot of them, thank God. I think every single one of our employees has a steady job somewhere else.
Good.
So we have been able to bring 1 or 2 back, which is all we need for now, because we are working on a skeleton crew. Again, I'm not going to waste anybody's time, and I'm not going to fault anyone for keeping the job they have. I even go out of my way to tell them, if you have something good and it's solid, stay where you're at.
Right.
I'll figure it out. But know that you have a job here as soon as we reopen to full capacity. It's also a testament to him that I get to work with somebody that empowers me to, because I know right away, sometimes I have to make certain decisions, and I know that he's going to back me up on it. Not because he's going to back me up blindly, but because we're on the same page with a lot of things. I think our philosophy of how we want to run things, how we want to be with our employees, with our customers is, parallel.
Yeah, we are confident on.
Yeah, I know that he is taking care of what he has to do. He knows that he tells me to do something, it's done, and that's very important.
Yeah, that's very important. It's extremely to be able to.
Yeah, you don't
that. Don't have to check.
Yeah.
I know that he will do his part.
No micromanaging here. Yeah, so that's really important. And again, being in the business as long as I have, I've yet to see 2 people work together like that. Maybe you'd have to go back to the 90s with Kenny and Cal from Crokaert. Those were 2 owners that literally were symbiotic and worked really well together. I feel very lucky that this is where I'm at, and even now, I mean, we even through these difficult times, I would say more than optimistic. It's just a matter of time for us. It's just being patient. We have no doubt that this is going to be bigger and better than it was before.
When you've expanded your audience, you've gotten people to know about you that might not have, that are passionately waiting for it to open up, and you've got the access now to that many people just through your channels. So, I'm confident too that as soon as we get over this hump and you guys can open up again, it's going to be full throttle. And it's exciting to see that.
Thank you.
If people want help in the meantime, I know you guys have a GoFundMe campaign set up.
Yes. You want to?
Yeah, we created a GoFundMe something like 3 weeks ago, I think, because we've seen that the things will continue, at least for months, I think. We were the first to close, we'll be the last to reopen. So we were at a point where we don't really have the choice. We can't really have money and earn our money by opening the door.
Because these streams do cost money. They take time,
and we can't monetize as well on YouTube because there is the copyright issue, and all the advertising go to the artist, don't go to us. So we don't get anything from the monetization.
And a lot of people have been locked down, but they didn't lose any income, and they love house music and they want to support. So I think it's a great saying like, hey, everyone, they need help.
At the beginning, we talk about that, and we were thinking, do we have to do it or no? And we were thinking that because the plan was still to reopen mid-June or beginning of July, and that was good. The cash flow was good to survive this time. But when we saw that was impossible to go back to normal at this time, we had to create this GoFundMe, because the first plan was to provide the stream for free.
Right.
I mean,
and that's basically what we're still doing. But again, we quickly saw that the following just kept going up, and that's okay. I'm like, okay, this is great. And not to say we haven't had a few events here. One of the biggest things that's changed is we have all these festivals that were supposed to happen this year. A lot of them have opted to do a virtual festival, and we've hosted quite a few of those. One of our first really big events was the Ron Hardy tribute, where we had 10 DJs. It was about 11 hours long. And that really boosted our numbers as far as following. I mean, we had guys like, Andre Hatchett, Mike Dunn, Ron Carroll, a lot of the chosen few DJs, Wayne Williams, Alan King, Terry Hunter. You're talking about some Ron Hardy's brother, Celeste, the DJ.
Dimitri.
Incredible names. And that event alone got people saying, okay, what's the Nocturne? Where's the Nocturne? Yeah. Where is this place at? And that also opened the doors for us to host other events. We hosted the Chosen Few Picnic, which was great for us as well. We have a couple more virtual festivals coming up soon that are in the works right now as we speak. So again, it's, believe it or not, I think we find ourselves working just as hard or harder, but in a totally different world, a totally different goal than we did when we were open. I mean, again, like I said, we're here 5-6 days a week, from 1 till 9 at night. And like, for example, today we'll be here till 9. To go back to that question about when we stream, like I said, Monday through Wednesday, we do the house talk from 5 to 6. Wednesday from 6:30 to 8:30, we do a stream that's hosted by What's Good Chicago, where we bring in up-and-coming talent and some established talent as well. Thursday night is Ron Carroll's Heat Thursdays, which is more of an Afro disco type feel. It's great to be able to do that wide range of house music in 1 week.
And so if people want to support, I think, the GoFundMe is a great way. So you can just find it, Le Nocturne, if you do in the search bar of GoFundMe.com.
On GoFundMe, Le Nocturne Chicago, and you will find.
Make sure it's the Chicago one if there's another one out in Omaha.
Don't
donate to that.
Not Le Nocturne Zimbabwe or anything like that.
So that's one way. But you also, if you wanted to do a private event here, you guys are open for that as well. Corporate events.
We're open to private events, but again, there is it would have to be very something that's sustainable. Definitely would something that we wouldn't do just to break even. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts. So, and again, to be honest with you, very few people have reached out about that. And if it is, it's a birthday party for 10 or 15 people. And I'm sorry, I hate to say no, but I can't. A lot of people, especially corporations, are cutting back on all their budgets, and obviously
they don't have a lot of events,
and they can't really have an event with the COVID rules. So it's you brought this up a little later. A while ago that the nightclub business in Chicago, or just nightclubs in general across the country or around the world, kind of have been left outside of what's getting help out there. Restaurants are doing great, and I'm very happy. I have a lot of friends who own restaurants, and I'm incredibly happy for them. A lot of that, like we talked about earlier, has to do with, unfortunately, a lot of restaurants that haven't survived. Before we could open, anybody could open, maybe 3 months, 4 months had passed. Yeah. And that's just unsustainable for a lot of people. We're lucky, and this is the other great thing that being in Uptown affords us, is that we're not paying River North prices
for rent.
For taxes and all that. And that's a huge game changer for us. And again, it was, I don't know how these last couple of years, a lot of these places were staying open with the rents that were just outrageous in River North, and with all that competition. You said it earlier, it's kind of thinning the herd. That needs to happen every so often. And I think that is one other reason why house music was pushed aside in lieu of hip hop, because there's just so much competition. You got to give everybody what they want, what they see on TV. And again, not to knock hip hop. I love hip hop. I grew up on it, but it's house music for me. And
well, we love that you're holding it down for Chicago, because we needed the torchbearer for that. So we wish you nothing but luck and success moving forward. We hope that we get past this and we can see this place jam-packed again, and everyone be safe.
We can't wait.
In the meantime, we ask that everybody like them on social media, on YouTube.
Follow us at Nocturne Chicago Live or Le Nocturne Chicago. We're also on Instagram.
Nocturne Chicago on Instagram. We're on Twitter as well.
On Twitter as well. Yeah, we're pretty much, we cover the bases. Mixcloud. So yeah, we've covered the bases on all platforms. We're just type in La Nocturne, and that's what the Chicago, and you're gonna see us. So.
Beautiful. And we'll have all the links on the post here as well. So
great.
Thanks again, Miguel.
No, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
And giving us a forum to
Hey, it's all about helping each other out. That's what we did this for. It's about the industry helping each other out and sharing ideas and sharing just really support. And so we're here for you, anything you need.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Since recording this episode, Le Nocturne has started opening their doors again at partial capacity for some special events. To find out more, head over to nocturne-chicago.com or check out any of their social media platforms. Support them further on GoFundMe. Just search for Le Nocturne Chicago to find their campaign. We wish Francoise and Miguel the best of luck, as well as all the other nightclubs, restaurants, bars, and their staffs who are struggling to survive under extremely difficult circumstances. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd really appreciate a like, 5-star rating, and to have you as a subscriber. Or follow us on social media at get_tapped. What's on Tap is brought to you by Tapped In. To see how we can help your bar, restaurant, or nightclub, visit gettappedin.io. This episode was hosted by Joe Sheehan, with special guests Francoise Crokaert and Miguel Castro of Le Nocturne, a boutique nightclub in Chicago, Illinois. See our episode notes for links to their website and social media accounts. This episode was produced by Joe Sheehan. Our AV technician was Nadine Lomaton. Voiceover and marketing by Caitlin Cavanaugh. Until next time, cheers.